I'm going to say the N word.
Don't do it, don't do it.
No gado. Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm for here. Today I am back to cover Avantgarda. The blouse of the series. And yes, Machine of Blau has been awfully quiet since this set has dropped, so I'm here to cover for him. Today we're gonna talk about Avantgarda, used in the anime by the Samuel Fredson guy. So okay, cool. So Avantgarde is basically the stand-in mechas for this format besides Michu. If you're into your mechas wearing bikinis, then that's fine. Today we're going to talk about it in set 9, and there's new support on the horizon. We have a promo coming out soon, so I may cover it. We also have set 10 with half away, so I may cover that as well. I will only cover it if this video does well, so let's get that real clear. So basically it's a restanding Vanguard, this guy, and then you play around more field spells in the form of strategies and basically executing the strategies in time with your pilot, so let's get it all done and dusted. It's a very easy deck to understand. It's a very expensive deck, not because Avantgarda is expensive, but it's because the staples in Brandt Gate are just not cheap, because Brandt Gate is the best clan in this in this game. So let's cover this real quick. Our right line consists of Blue Deathster, Sora period, Blue Deathster, Finanis, right?
Yeah.
Then there's Blue Deathstar, Heavenly Death Ray, and then after that there's Avantgarda, the Sky rendering.
Skyrender, Blue Deathster, Skyrender, Avantgarda.
Alright, that's a very long name. Okay, so let's actually break through the right line. This is our grade 0, it's Sora period. Now Sora period is special because it's a starter that needs to stay in your soul. It's like a mecha pilot. So if you actually soul blast out your mecha pilot, then you
lose the game.
You lose the game. Yeah. So don't actually treat this as a card you can soul blast. You can't. Okay? You can't. Next, there's this guy. Basically, his skill is when rolled upon by the grade. When you roll upon the grade 2, you search your deck for a grade 1 strategy order and add it to your hand. Or, if you don't have it already, if you have it already in your hand, then you basically just call this guy from the soul. Oh, Alfred Early. So you're basically looking for a grade 1 strategy order, which is going to be this guy. This is Assassination. But we'll get into them later. It has no other skill because they're purely meant to be play off as one-offs in the right deck. So there's no regular skill here. Next up, we have this guy who has the best art in this deck, hands down. What does he do? When rolled upon by the grade 3, you basically search your deck for a grade 2 strategy order. This is bombing. And then after that, it's the same skill as a grade 1. If you reveal it in your hand, that means you already have it. You can spirit call this guy out from the soul. So basically, the whole right deck of Avantgarda can either A, grab you your correct strategy orders for their respective grades, or 2, call themselves out if you already own them. So that's pretty neat. But let's talk about Avantgarda. Avantgarda himself has a very long skill text and 2 separate skills that are tied together. So let's break it down. Basically, once per turn, you choose if your soul has Sora period, which it needs to have, you move 1 strategy order from your order zone into your soul. Basically, it's like downloading the strategy program into your robot so you can fight. So you just move 1 of these stratagem orders from your order zone into your soul. This unit gains 5,000 power and you draw. So it's an 18k body already. Okay, that's not bad. Then you get a red text, a continuous skill. Is that if at the end of the battle using a text, if it hit or if you persona right this turn, you instantly get a restand, which basically is that it costs a card blast 1 and you discard 1 card from your hand, but its unit gets drive -1 during his second attack. It's a very simple restand deck. I don't think it needs much explanation. If it hits on your grade 3 turn, you get to restand. So basically this is, I believe, V Draconic Overlord?
Yeah.
It's basically V Draconic Overlord.
I mean, it's also D Draconic Overlord.
It's also D Draconic Overlord. No, but that's for the rears. I'm talking about
no, but it's like D Draconic Overlord is just whenever it hits.
Yeah, but like, okay, fair. Okay, yeah. So it's basically D Draconic Overlord, V Draconic Overlord.
No, but I mean, the most apt comparison is Blouse, the original Blouse.
Oh, the original 2011 blouse.
Yes.
That would be the closest. But if you're not interested in always betting on hit, just persona right, just throw another copy of himself and then you automatically can do that. And if you're persona writing, he gains an additional 10,000 power. So that means you got to attack with a 20k8 body minimally twice.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
It's very nice.
So now that I've covered the right deck, let's talk about the orders. We play 1 copy of the grade 1 strategy, this is Assassination. We play 1 copy of the grade 2 order, which is bombing. And then we play this one, which is Kill Wins or Little Farts or whatever you want to call it. I just think it's funny to call it Little Farts. So let's talk about the strategy orders one by one.
Yes. So the grade 1 assassination, it's grade 1 strategy. The assassination is when it's basically when you put it into the soul, activates the strategy. So that goes for all the strategies. So his one says your Vanguard will gain 5k, and then you can choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. So it's overall it's just good control, but honestly because all it does is just give 5k and then lets you pop one. It's not that useful. It's why you only play one copy.
You only need to use one copy into the auto zone because you only can play one auto per turn.
Yes, and then for the grade 2, which is the bombing run, this one is a bit more interesting. Is that when you activate the strategy, it gains your Vanguard will gain 10,000 power, and until the end of this turn, your opponent cannot use blitz orders against your Vanguard.
I cannot intercept.
And they cannot intercept.
So it basically stuns your opponent's more passive kind of defense,
Yeah.
in the sense that they can't use any of the intercepts and they can't use any orders against you during your turn.
Yeah.
They can still guard. This is not no fight no guard video, but it can basically just shut off a lot of the more defensive aspects. So if you notice your opponent's playing more defensively, or it has built a deck that features more defense, which in the first place, I guess the only main contender here is Urine Botis. That's like Ava during your turn.
No, I mean because they can't.
I mean, they can intercept obfuscate, but like that's about it, right?
And then I mean it's like because I mean majority of Ava's defense is actually built off of obfuscate. So
okay. So this is basically the one where you pee on obfuscate. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean depends on your
matchup.
meta.
It's really matchup.
Depends on your meta also if you want to play more copies of this. But overall, I think we think one is fine.
For your basic Avantgarda deck, you basically will only play one of each. But if your meta calls for you to have more spot removal or to shut down more passive defense, then you know what orders to increase.
Yeah.
But our main good stuff order is gonna be Kill Win.
So Kill Win is the simplest. It's actually the simplest.
It's the simplest one.
Is that it just gives your Vanguard the red text that when it attacks, your whole entire front row gains 5k. So because your Vanguard attacks twice, or ideally it will attack twice, and your personal right you will attack twice, your whole front row is getting 10k for the entire turn, which means that not only is your Vanguard very big, your rear guard is also very big. So that just spreads out the pressure a bit more, and then your opponent's just gonna cry because he cannot guard.
Yeah, he can't do anything.
It's just that simple.
You just fart in his face.
It's very simple.
Alright, moving on to our grade 3s, we play 1 copy of Avantgarda for the right deck and 3 copies for the main deck, and then 4 copies of what was his name again?
Honestly, can't remember.
It's probably relevant to this. Okay, so let's actually cover this real quick. So we're gonna talk about Avantgarda, as we mentioned, has a skill that's linked to Persona, right? So you need to play 4 copies of this guy. We are not playing the card, we're not playing Gradiel because of the fact that you want to play Kill Win. You want to play Lethal Farts. You have to, because this card is too insane in Avantgarda. The amount of power this one card generates for an entire board can instantly kill your opponent if done correctly. So you basically will never give up the opportunity to play this order. And that's where this guy comes in, because he's a searcher for it.
His name is Erhalten Vogel.
Erhalten Vogel.
Yeah, we'll just call him Vogel.
Vogel. Okay.
So Vogel's skill is very simple. When placed on rearguard circle, for 1 counter blast and 1 soul blast, you search your deck for 1 grade 3 order, and then you put into your hand.
Yep, so you basically just search for Kill Win.
Yes.
Okay, keep going.
Oh yeah, no, it's not just from deck, it's also from drop.
Oh, you can
so you can also recycle orders from drop.
I mean,
and then
you've lived that
when you play, and then if it's on the field, when you play a set order, it gains 5.
Yep.
Yeah. So overall, it's like
it's 80k
he's just there to help you search out your little wins, or your kill wins.
Yep.
And then basically that sets out your entire kill turn for Avantgarda.
Yep.
It's very, very simple.
Moving forward, we are not sure if this guy will be played because we are receiving better support for Avantgarda. This is a more generic support that happens to tie into Avantgarda's strategies. But in the future, you may not see this guy around, so just take note. In case you're thinking of spending money on Avantgarda, it may not stay in the deck for very much longer. So yeah.
Yes.
Moving on to our grade 2s. Our grade 2s, we play 2 copies of Enlightenment. Coming of Age Dragon, we play 1 copy of, this guy in the right deck. We play 4 copies of our good old Freiheits from our Blitz deck profile. Please watch it. The deck's insane. It's topping WGP. What are you doing? And then 3 copies of Tectine. So we can cover this, very fast as well. I think it goes without mention that this is for our right deck, so I'll remove it out. As we covered in our Blitz deck profile, what does he do? This guy is basically really good. the only skill you need to care about is when placed on the rearguard circle. Counterblast 1, discard a card from your hand, search your deck for a grade 3 card.
No, it's a card with the same
Name
as
as your
the-
Vanguard. It's a grade 3 card, the same name as your Vanguard, and add it to the hand. So on turn 3, you just call the Fright Heights, Counterblast 1, and you add a copy of Avantgarda to hand. You set up your turn 4 kill. Instantly. But this is the only card in the entire Brandt Gate that searches out your Persona Right. So this card is really good for Blitz if you've read its skill, but it's only good in Avantgarda for the search, because the Persona Right means so much that a global searcher is instantly worth like 6,000 yen already. So this is the one holding factor of Avantgarda that's causing this deck to be super expensive. So do keep in mind, before you want to buy Avantgarda, you have to be able to commit to this guy at a 4th. It's not... I'm sorry, there's not a way you can do it. And now we can talk about the cards that don't really matter this time.
Yeah, so we have Enlightened Age Dragon. He's just here as a filler slot until we get better support for Avantgarde. I mean, he's still useful in the event that you want to recycle if you're able to get your orders out from your soul and then into the drop, because his skill is when you Persona Right, Soul Blast 1, he gains 5k, and then you choose one order from your drop zone, or one set order from your drop zone and put it back to your hand, and then you choose another set order from your drop zone with a different card name from the first order that you chose and add it back to your hand. So in total you get back 2 orders, which if you haven't been paying attention is basically just, you know, the grade 1, the grade 2 and the grade 1 order. Yeah, so you add both of them back to your hand, or you know, it could be one of each, one or the other, and then you add the grade 3 back. So overall, it's just there for you to recycle orders if you're playing the game out very long, but otherwise it's not a very good card.
It doesn't really last that long, because with Avantgarda you kind of want to kill as soon as possible with your Persona Right pressure, but this is just a nice card to fill in the slot.
Yes. Speaking of filling in slots, we have Tectan, the ever reliable penguins on set 5.
Yay.
I think everyone knows at this point is when it's discarded. When it's discarded for anything, you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, you add one
During
set
your turn, it's during your turn.
or during your turn when
You
it's
can't just
when
PG
it's
and
discarded. When it's discarded during your turn, you may look at the top 5 cards of your deck and then add one set order from among them into your hand. So not only can you do this for the right deck, you also can do this for Avantgarde, because Avantgarde himself also discards a card.
Yep.
So it's the same as Regis, you can do it during the battle phase as well, and then you can set up for the following turn for your kill win.
Yes.
Yes.
That's basically it.
And that's very simple. Tectan is an absolute must play in this deck.
Until we get better support.
Yes.
Moving on to our grade 1s. Our grade 1s, we play 1 copy of this guy for the right deck. We play 4 copies of Megargal, and then we play 4 Perfect Guards.
Perfect guards.
Yeah.
Megargal is because, you know, our Vanguard already has on-hit pressure, and because Megargal says that when his attack hits anything, when the attack that he boosted hits anything, counter charge 1, means that if your Vanguard gets perfect guarded and you have Megargal on the rearguard circle, you can just beat into his rears to damage deny him and then still get your counter charge off.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Megargal is an absolute must have in this deck. It's honestly better than Bobo Mine.
It is better than Boba Mine because it does the minus, and this guy you can throw him on the board early to compete and rush. But he may not stay in the deck much longer because we have half a way coming. I will review that deck if this video does well.
Yes.
And then of course this guy is for the right deck. Moving on to our grade 0s, our quintessential Sora period is back, and then we play 8 crits. We play 4 heal, 1 over trigger, and 3 draw.
Okay, so crits, because as once again, this deck has absolutely no crit pressure, and since it's a restanding Vanguard, crits are very good. So swing multiple times with having your Vanguard have multiple crits on, and attacking multiple times is always good.
Yep.
Same with the over trigger. It's the same principle as Grotto Jet, except now you can PG. So
and Brandt Gate's over trigger is basically a secondary win con every deck, so
yes.
You have to buy it.
Yes. Draws, because this deck wants to see its Persona Right. So if you don't see the Persona Right, then you die. Yeah, you die.
The shield does help.
Yes.
You don't really need France because you have kill win. But
yes, and then the heal is mainly because this deck suffers from being rushed down and being absolutely beaten to death before it can even do anything, because it is pretty much a turn 4 deck if you want to actually win, but it's also a turn 3 deck if you just want to pressure. So in order to see that, then it's good to play the 20k shield heals for the matchups that you get rushed early or when you go second.
At the point of this recording, in Kyoto's recent WGP, we've seen Messiah also join Jet along, its high popularity rate, which goes to show that the crest really is an unfair mechanic. As such, we need to actually prepare for any competitive scenarios, and this would be the best counter heal to do so. I'm not telling you guys to buy this thing out or go and price scalp it, but given the fact that Avantgarda is especially more delicate and more weaker than most Brandt Gate decks, it's kind of a must at this point to play this card. If you are able to play a better Brandt Gate deck, then you won't really need the counter here. And that really wraps up our Avantgarda deck profile. This guy is not as good as you imagine. He's also not as bad as you imagine. It's very fundamental of the deck, and the entire deck is literally at this point just made out of staples. So basically, you can only buy this deck if you've actually bought staples from the entire Brandt Gate, which is not very affordable. Other than that though, knowing that Avantgarda gets specific support in the future is keeping me hopeful. We can actually see a rise in Avantgarda in the future should they actually release stuff. And they have. They're releasing a promo, they're releasing set 10 support, all of which I may cover if this video does well. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.
Bye bye.